Person's case that has remained unsolved for, 3 decades now. It was 30 years ago today.
In the Dwan Sims investigation, the missing boy's mother has been working with police and has spoken with the man claiming. And tonight, police tell us they're taking that claim seriously. Dwan Sims is the little boy who went missing 25 years ago yesterday.
Coming up next on TV2 Eyewitness News.
Whose son disappeared from a Livonia mall is at the center of the police department's investigation. Question is she just a witness or a suspect? I'm John Noel, a live report.
Channel, we are not going to do a long intro today. We are just going to jump right into this video for you guys. We are going to be touching on the case of Dwan Sims, and if you are from the Detroit area, I am pretty sure you know of this case. And he is a missing 4-year-old boy, has been missing for almost 40 years. The story takes us to the rich in culture and history city of Detroit, known as the Motor City, home of Motown Records, as well as a blend of innovations, and also home to 4-year-old Dwan Sims. Dwan was born on a Monday, October 29th in the year 1990. He was born to his mother Dwana and his father Zachary. There's not really much information on his father because he was not really present in his life. There isn't much information on his upbringing or his home life. He was said to be a cheerful child with a contagious smile, according to reports. He was overall just described as this child full of curiosity, love, and just like to share. Okay, so in order for me to create a perfect timeline for you guys and tell this story correctly, I will start from basically the beginning. Now, from what Dwana, which is Dwan's mother, what she tells police on December 10th, 1994, she states that her and her boyfriend, whose name was reported to be Victor, had planned a date night. And so, of course, she wanted to be presentable and decided to set an appointment for her hair to be done. She decided to take Dwan with her. And before they even headed to the hair salon, they decided to stop and get some food at a fast food restaurant. This fast food restaurant was unnamed, but they did stop at the drive-thru and then proceeded to the hair salon so she can get her hair done. Now, after she had got her hair done, the plans was for Dwan to go ahead and stay at a family's house. Sorry, let me clarify that. A family friend's house until the morning time, until basically they were done. And so she goes ahead and she drops him off at the family friend's house. She goes out with Victor. They enjoy themselves, and by 10 a.m. the next morning, Dwan is picked up and back in her care. Now, the friend has not been named, but it was said that she went ahead by her. It was said that she went ahead and picked him up by no later than 10 a.m. Dwana had to do laundry, and so she decided to gather up her loads. Dwana ended up tagging along with her. And so she drives to this laundromat, and she is there for a while, of course, because she said that she went ahead and washed 5 loads. So I'm sure that took a lot of time. After she and Dwan had did the loads of laundry, they went ahead and headed to her mother's house for some unknown reason, some unnamed reason. They probably want to, just go ahead and visit. The drive from her house to her mother's house, considering that she just went ahead and dropped the laundry off and then zoomed to her mother's house, that drive would have been about 25 to 30 minutes. And it is also unclear how long she stayed there and what time she left from her mother's house. But we do know sometimes she heads back home with Dwan, and when she arrives, they begin to unwind, and she sees Victor, just laying on the couch taking a nap. She had this plan to go ahead and visit the mall so she can do some shopping. Christmas was amongst them, just 2 weeks away, and so she's like, let me go ahead and get this Christmas shopping out of the way. She did not want to disturb Victor while he was sleeping, and so again Dwan tags along. And so again her and Dwan packs into the car and they head to Wonderland Mall. So Dwana states that she and her son enters the mall's parking lot. They park the car, they get out, and they head into the mall from the Target entrance side. And I'm not sure if it's like this for every single mall, but I do know some malls have like different entrances where you can enter. You can enter through the parking lot area. They may have like a main entrance where you can go into, or they'll have like a store that you can enter through. And so they decided to enter through the Target side. Dawan claims that she claims that the Target had been crowded, and so she decided to go ahead and browse some more stores. It was reported by Dawana that they had reached the mall around 1:45 p.m. and it was around Christmas time, and if you know how the mall is around Christmas time, you know how crowded it gets. Keep in mind, this is the 90s, so they didn't really have the technology and whatnot to go ahead and just be ordering things and have things just delivered like we do with Amazon Prime and all that stuff. They were basically still trying to maneuver the luxury of ordering from the comfort of your home. And so a lot of people was in the mall shopping and doing it manually. This is when Black Friday was really Black Friday. People was like literally getting hurt over sales and stuff like that, And she states that she was walking by the perfume store. It basically caught her eye, and he, who was very interested, he loved Power Rangers. He was looking at one of the Power Ranger toys. He actually kind of asked her if he can get one, and she just basically brushed him off like, hey, no, we're not here for that, not today. And she's basically still on the move. Like she said, she was going for Christmas shopping, so she has tunnel vision at this moment, and she decides to turn around and she sees that Dawan is no longer in her presence. Now, mall abductions was not uncommon, especially around this time, and so rightfully so, as a mother would, she began to panic. Dawana states that she had been looking for her son for a few hours, about 2 hours. Once mom had noticed that she was not getting any luck on her own, she decided to notify mall staff. She jotted over to the nearest security officer and asked him for some assistance with locating her son. They immediately gathered up a bunch of people and even notified the Livonia police department, who went ahead and came out as fast as they can, and all hands were on deck to look for little Dawan Sims. I truly feel this is one of the cases that I have covered or listened to, and I've seen that the police was literally on it in the matter of minutes. They looked everywhere, in every store. They looked in the food area. They even looked in areas where customers aren't even supposed to be going. And so this was a very, very intense initial search. They searched everywhere for Dawan, rightfully so, bringing in dogs to sniff his scent, and even extended their search to her apartment, the building they lived in, and still turned up empty-handed. So of course the next steps was to question witnesses. So witnesses were questioned, and it was reported that no one who had been in the mall on the 11th around 12 to 2 p.m. saw a woman walking with her son. Some claimed to not have even seen her around that time, which had been the time Dawana claims she and Dawan walked into Wonderland Mall that fateful day. Eyewitness, of course, is not always reliable, and human memory isn't always accurate, so factors like passage of time, stress, and anxiety can definitely affect this. But of course, the cameras were checked just for, double security, and this is when things began to take a different turn in the case. The mall, of course, checked their surveillance to get more answers, and they, of course, ran it back from the time she stated they walked in. And Dawana nor Dawan was seen entering the mall at that time. You see, Dawana had actually walked into the mall and been seen walking into the mall on surveillance, but not Dawan. And it was not at the time that she stated they originally went into the mall, which was 1:45 p.m. Dawana had been actually seen walking into the mall by herself a little bit after 3:40 p.m. And do you guys remember the story that she had told the police about her and Dawan entering through the Target side and it being crowded and him asking her for a toy and her stopping by the perfume section? None of that happened. It was seen on camera that Dawana actually went up to the security guard, did not look for her son at all, and asked for assistance. The U.S. Sun article reported, while reviewing the cameras, there had been a mom and her daughter walking, and Dawana had claimed that that was her and Dawan, which of course turned out to be a lie. Now, of course, Dawana was questioned, and they even brought in Dawan's father, Zachary, to be given a lie detector test right along with his mother. He passed his test, but the mother failed twice. It had been stated by Dawana that she was not in her right state of mind, and basically she had still been shaken up by the disappearance of her son, and so she feels like that triggered her test. Something that had appeared odd to me, though, was the fact that Victor, the boyfriend, was not given a lie detector test at all. I don't even know if he had been questioned, because because that was not reported anywhere. A member of the Department of Surveillance Unit claims that when he had been interviewing her, he felt like she was close to giving a confession but ended up walking away. The detectives overall seem to not be buying Dawana's story.
When he was originally reported missing, of course, you would think that anybody's reaction would be, as a mother and or a father, you know, regardless of which parent or somebody who's in charge of a child, that it would be frantic, where, oh my gosh, my child's missing right now, what do I do? But reflecting back and listening and being there, seeing the story unfold in the calmness that was presented by her, the mother.
Somebody, or just what could have happened, and they knew he was just a young boy, and so they went to the security cameras and thought, all right, this will help. We'll follow him through the mall. And they went to the security cameras, and the security camera showed that Dawana Sims, the mom, walked into the Wonderland Mall alone. She never had her son with her. And so instantly, obviously, she was a suspect, but she was never charged in this crime.
They deepened their investigation and, of course, interviewed her family members and friends. Everyone described Dawana as a good mother. Family said that she was loving and there had been no signs of reports of abuse. Search for Dawana lasted for 3 days. The Livonia Police Department paired up with the Detroit Police, Michigan State Police, and even called in the big guns for this case, the FBI. Dawana and her family helped by handing out flyers, and Dawana, of course, did several press conferences.
I'm not going to stand accused of hurting my own baby. I'm not. I understand the world is sick and there's a lot of mothers out there, but this is not the case this time. Y'all focusing on what's this and what's that, who I went with, who I sleep with, who I live with. That's not the focus. The focus is finding Dawana. He's 4 years old, he's alone, and he needs to come home to his mother. I don't want to talk to him.
100 leads and calls began pouring in. People saying they saw Dawana, but the police just kept hitting dead ends. Dawana's grandmother, of course, even spoke out during the same press conference that her daughter had, stating that she knew her grandbaby was still alive and out there somewhere. She even said that she's adamant her daughter had nothing to do with it.
My child would not hurt her child. She knows she had no reason to, because if something else was bothering her, she knows that she could have dropped him on field. And I took care of him until she was all right.
Dawana Sims' mother felt as if the police had been narrowing the suspects down to just her because of another young lady who had actually hurt her kids around the same time and made it seem as if they were kidnapped. The two cases had definitely been eerily similar. Susan Smith had been an American woman who was convicted of murdering her 3-year-old and 1-year-old. And so because of that case, Dawana felt as if the police thought she was a suspect. Investigators reported that shortly after, Dawana Sims had actually went no contact, but she refuted and stated that she stayed in contact for years and decades after his disappearance. Now, just some time before Dawana went missing, his grandmother Beverly Harris had actually took out a life insurance policy on him and herself, which had been paid for at the time by her job as a fire inspector. She states that she didn't remember how much the policy was worth, nor does she remember the day it was taken out, but she was hoping that Dawana could have used that money for college. Her daughter at this time knew nothing of the policy, and Mrs. Harris had even planned to take one out on both of her daughters, which included Dawana. She claimed that she thought it wasn't a big deal due to her having one out on herself, so her children wouldn't be burdened with expenses after she was gone. And all of this had been reported according to an article by the Detroit Free Press. Now, it's not uncommon for people to do this. Life insurance is certainly important and provides security for your family, but the time the policy had been taken out and his disappearance being so close made people question her motives. The case after this basically went cold until 2019. And in the year of 2019, the case of Dawana Sims began making headlines again due to a 33-year-old man. The 33-year-old man, who went by the name Mike Cash, walked into the police station after 2 decades believing he was Dawana Sims. He first posted on social media platforms that he believed his family lied about who he truly was, his mother specifically. Despite him initially reaching out to social media for answers, after going to the police, he politely asked them to keep this under wraps. Dawana had actually spoke out claiming that she had spoke with him and was doing some investigating of her own. Now, when the story first broke out, she was willing to cooperate on any new leads with the police. She let it be known that while doing her own investigation, she questioned Cash about personal information that only she and Dawana would have known. She states that she asked him about specific placements of birthmarks, but he couldn't even provide that information or information about his birthday. Cash strongly felt like he was Dewan Sims because growing up, people would tell him he resembled the little missing boy. And I mean, if you do put their pictures side by side, they do kind of resemble each other. There is some similarities. And he had also stated that his mother lied to him about who his father had been. Mr. Cass was demanding a DNA test. He ended up going ahead and giving up a sample of his DNA to a lab in Texas. But sadly, there was no match. And although there was no match, it did open up the lid on his case once again. Before her death, every year around the anniversary, the police department would send out a team of people to trail her and see if she would go ahead and visit a dump site for Dewan or anything like that. But nothing came of that either. It was literally like Dewan just vanished into thin air. A lot of people sadly believed that when Mrs. Sims died, the truth died with her. Dewan shortly after stopped communicating, and nothing else came of this, of course. She had even went on to change her name and moved to North Carolina. He remarried soon after and gave birth to 2 daughters. December 7th, 2020, just a few days shy of the 26th anniversary of Dewan Sims' disappearance, Dewana had actually been found dead in her home due to natural causes. And this had also came just a year after Victor's death. And if you guys can remember, Victor was her boyfriend at the time in 1994 when Dewan Sims had went missing. And from my reports, he was not questioned, nor was he given a lie detector test. And that is just some of the things that truly bothered me about this case. The fact that they didn't interview Victor. They didn't interview the babysitter. They did not check to see what laundromat washed 5 loads at. They did not check to see what time she went to her mother's house, what time she got back to her house. They did not fully check in with any of these things. There was no interviews with family, friends, or babysitters to see if Dewan had actually been there. And it is literally just sad how this case just went so cold like this, because no one just disappears into thin air. And if he was picked up by someone at the mall, it had to be someone that he maybe knew or something, because he did not scream, make any noises. But we do know now that he was not at the mall in the first place. So where was Dewan? Over 700 tips had been submitted to Detroit Press, and I'm pretty sure as of 2025 there has been more than that, but nothing, and this case still remains cold. This story, of course, does not sit right with so many people, from the detectives not interviewing the family, friends, babysitters, whatever, to Dewana lying about things that just you should not be lying about in this case. We can only truly hope that someone from around that time who knows something just comes forward just to give this case a rest, because he deserves not only a proper burial but justice. Dewan was last seen on December 11th, 1994, wearing a blue winter jacket over a multicolored windbreaker, dark blue sweatpants, and a low-top Fila brand shoes. You can call the number that's blinking on the screen if you have any information in regards to where Dewan Sims may be. Until next time, thank you, and I will catch you later.